Hello and welcome to the Geeks with Wives podcast, episode 143. I am your host, Jeff Gordon. I'm joined by my co-hosts tonight, Victoria Sherry.
Heyo!
And Grant Gustafson.
Dude, 143, this is awesome.
Yes, 143. It's history in the making right now. And we've got Nathan Dugas from Frozen Gamers podcast. He's our guest tonight. How you doing, Nathan?
The cheat is not dead.
I have a question. You are from Alaska, am I right?
That's correct.
So what's the biggest misconception about Alaska?
Probably that either it's dark all the time or it's cold all the time, which is definitely not accurate.
Oh, okay.
Or that we live in igloos or, use dogs to stand around.
I understand. Well, yeah,
I live in double
Texas.
igloos, right, to protect more from the cold.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You live in double igloos, right? Bigger
Yeah,
igloos.
that's exactly it. I live in, what do you call it, an apartment.
Apartment. Is that some Alaska weird thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Texas, so everybody assumes that we all have horses.
Snakes.
Yes,
Right,
there are
snakes.
those. Yeah.
So you're
Well,
from the
Probably-
second largest state in the Union.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm really pumped about tonight's show because we're going to be talking about the worst games of the last generation. And I'm really pumped about that. But first, as always, we talk about the games that we are playing. And I would like to know, Victoria, what game are you playing right now?
So, I haven't been on in ages, and the games that I've been playing lately have been, I just got a Wii U, and I've been playing Mario Kart 8 as well as Lego The Hobbit. Those have been fantastic. Mario Kart 8, first of all, I think it's weird for me to say that a Mario Kart game looks beautiful, but if you haven't tried it out on the Wii U, it's amazing. The Hobbit has all the great things about the Hobbit movies, but it also has the great Lego humor that you would expect from every single Lego game that you've ever played. And then a game that isn't getting much love, but on the Xbox One, I've been playing Murdered Soul Suspect, and I absolutely adore that game.
I've heard a lot of good. I mean, I know that there's been some negative reviews of Murdered, but I've heard some really good things about it too. What have you liked about it?
The storyline's really good. I will say that I do understand when the critics are saying that it's a bit of an easy gameplay, because it is. There's only been like one spot that I found was difficult for me, but the storyline's good. I like the fact that there's a lot of collectibles in this game. I like finding all those things. Same thing with like Tomb Raider and stuff like that. I was always trying to look for all the pieces and whatnot. And then there's also these little side missions where you find other spirits that are kind of like, they want to go on, but they're trapped because they don't know what happened with their death. And that's what they say causes a ghost in this game, is that there's unresolved business. And so you help other spirits with their own mini stories and trying to figure out, because you're a detective, what happened, and so they can basically just move on to the next round.
That sounds really interesting. Grant, have you gotten to play any of that at all?
The Murdered game?
Murdered? Have you gotten to play Murdered at all?
You couldn't pay me to play that game.
Oh man. I sense the tension right now. Oh my gosh.
It's a miracle we're sharing headphones right now.
Oh my gosh. Did she beat you in Mario Kart? What happened?
She just beat me in general with a bat. No, well, obviously she's gonna beat me in Mario Kart, Jeff. I don't like Nintendo.
Well, Grant, what games are you playing right now?
I'm playing an indie game that you guys probably have not heard of. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but it's called Of Orcs and Men. It's an RPG, kind of in the vein of Dragon Age. It's kind of a more tactical experience. It's not turn-based or anything. It's live combat, but it's more methodical. And the story is awesome. What I like about it in particular is the fact that you play on the other side of the struggle between men and orcs that a lot of fantasy games or even movies, stuff like that, have portrayed. So you kind of see the other side of things, obviously in their world. So they invented their own storyline and all that stuff. But it's cool to see, maybe they have their own struggles, right? They care about their side of things, and maybe people aren't, or humans aren't right all the time.
Yeah. I always like being able to play a game where you get to play as the quote unquote bad guy. I remember on the Sega Genesis I played a game called it was the Jurassic Park game, and you could play as the Velociraptor, and you could go after Grant. Funny enough.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah. So I always like that. So that's cool. I'm glad that you're still playing that.
The one of my favorite expansions of all time is Half-Life Opposing Force, because you play as the army that was kind of trying to kill Gordon Freeman. It's amazing. Yeah. It's awesome to see the other side of that, even in the same game. It's great.
Man, I feel like I'm learning so much about Grant right now that he likes to be
I want to be the bad guy. I want to kill Gordon Freeman, basically.
Yeah, when we play Mass Effect, I'm Paragon.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, so Grant, you're always punching the reporter, right?
Punching what?
You're punching the reporter in Mass Effect?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, all the time. Yeah. Then I rub it in their face in the next game.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to hearing more about the hard times that the orcs have. I hope that things get better for them. So Nathan, I'm very interested to hear what you're playing right now.
Well, there've been quite a few things. It's been split mostly between Vita and PC lately. I finished up Final Fantasy X HD on Vita, and I bought and played a bit of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I have been playing quite a bit of Sly 2, Honor, or I think it's Honor. No, Band of Thieves is the second one. I've been playing quite a bit of that as part of the HD collection, also on Vita. And then I got Wolf Among Us just recently during the Steam sale because it was like 75% off or 60% off or something like that.
Yeah.
So
have you gotten to put time? Have you gotten to put any time into Wolf Among Us?
Yeah, I just finished episode 4 last night.
Oh wow! So have you liked that?
Oh yeah, it's excellent. I'm just wishing we had a release date for episode 5.
We were talking about it. I can't remember if it was last week or a couple weeks ago, but whenever Telltale releases these games, I always wait till after they've all released, because I think Netflix has ruined me, where I have to just play everything, one after the other. So I'm glad to hear of somebody that plays them as they come out.
Wait, so the episode 5's not out, right? Is that what you said?
Not yet.
Okay, and that was Wolf Among Us?
Mm-hmm.
So I think correct me if I'm wrong, or if you guys even know, isn't Walking Dead Season 2, isn't episode 5 the one they have left as well?
No, they've only done the first 3 so far.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. It's still interesting that they're developing both those games so closely.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer because it's definitely delayed both of them, especially The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Oh, well, still great.
Yeah, they've got Walking Dead, they've got Wolf Among Us, and they have Tales from the Borderlands.
Can't wait.
And then Game of Thrones.
And then they're doing.
But I will wait.
Yeah.
Man, I can't even imagine how crazy it's got to be over at Telltale. They've just got to be.
Definitely.
I mean, really busy. Obviously, I can't even wait to see what Tales from the Borderlands is going to be. I'm really excited about that. And so you said that you, Nathan, were playing Final Fantasy X HD on the Vita?
Yeah.
How? I mean, I'm assuming that you've played it before.
Yeah, I played through it once on PS2, probably about 5 years ago.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, it looks beautiful. I mean, I know that it's kind of, redundant to say that about an HD Final Fantasy, but it looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly not as great looking as like the newer ones because it's just an HD reskin. But they did a really good job with the playable character models, made them
Yeah.
look significantly better. I mean, they had to in order to keep the game from looking, really dated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a pretty looking game. It's fun. It's not one of my top 5 Final Fantasies, but it's still a great game, and I've been playing it on a portable. To me is a big deal. Last time I played it, about half the time I had my PS2 connected to my laptop and was playing that way, but unfortunately the software I used didn't have audio, or wouldn't play the audio for whatever reason. So I played most of it without sound, and this time, I'm able to enjoy it fully on a handheld, and just, whenever I want to stop playing, I turn it off the handheld and get right back to exactly where I left off without having to worry about save points.
Nice. But it's funny that you say that because I myself am playing a Final Fantasy game from the past, and I downloaded Final Fantasy VII on my Vita, and I'm playing that right now. And I'm doing that because I've never played that game before, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. We talked about this last week, and that it's one of those, you always have games that everyone talks about and that you've never gotten a chance to play, and so
Yeah.
I'm like, like I can get it. It's only $10, and I assume that it's going to be an incredible game, and I'm probably about 2 hours into it. Haven't gotten way into it, so.
Yeah.
So from someone who never played it before, because that's where I'm at. How
Yeah.
playable is it now without that nostalgia factor?
I mean, there is a point to where, like, I feel like if I can just kind of look at something for just like an hour and just kind of get used to it, I feel like my eyes kind of readjust to, I guess, that time period. It readjusts to the 90s.
Yeah.
And so, the thing I like about it is that you can change the controls on those classic PlayStation 1 games. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, because it was kind of crazy because on a PlayStation, Vita or, PlayStation DualShock controller, usually, like, your select button is the X button, and for some reason, for Final Fantasy VII, it's the circle button. Yeah, so I had to switch those around because I was making all of the wrong choices. Equipping the wrong items, just doing everything wrong. So I had to change that, and so I'm really liking it though. I'm really excited. Really kind of see what everyone has really fallen in love with.
Yeah.
Over the last almost 20 years. My goodness. So. But the other game that I'm playing right now or just finished, is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And it's probably the hardest game that I've played this year. It's like really, really difficult. Y'all just got a Wii U, Victoria, so that may be something that you may want to check out because you can play it 2 players.
Oh,
And-
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Grant loves that. Yeah. I really like it.
Do you normally go for the hard games, or is this kind of a rarity for you?
Like as far as like playing games like Dark Souls and stuff like that, I usually try to avoid them just because I have such a limited amount of time to play games.
It's kind of the theme of this podcast.
Yeah. But I mean, like for example, with Donkey Kong, there's a boss that probably I died 20 times trying to beat.
Wow.
And it's just because the boss fights go on forever. Like it takes so long to beat them, and you can only get hit like 2 times. You get hit 2 times and you're done. So you almost have to be perfect.
Doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
Yeah, I can't play like difficult games like Dark Souls and stuff like that, only because I get mad enough at Call of Duty So seeing me play Dark Souls, there are just so many words that fly out of my mouth that even impress Grant sometimes. So
Impressed or terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, now I kind of want to see that.
It's not pretty.
I'll take your word for it, Grant. Well, I'm glad that we're all playing some awesome games, but I'm sure that we've played some games that have let us down, some terrible games. We're going to talk about the worst games of the last generation, and I just want to just kind of give everybody kind of an idea of what we're talking about here. We're not talking about necessarily the ideally worst game that's ever been made for the last generation, but really just the game that we really did not like from the last generation.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
one that we've actually played, right? Because we don't get to play every game, and we're pretty good at not playing bad games, I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, we kind of have to be selective with what we play when we have
Absolutely.
limited time. So, but Grant, what is the worst game for you?
There's been a lot, and I've grown to appreciate some bad games out there. And I think just from a comedy standpoint, like not on purpose comedy, but like it's so bad it's good. Two Worlds, the first one, for 360 PC. Oh my God, that game is abysmal. Just technically, not sound in any way, shape, or form. It's an open world game. There's like, instead of having I don't know, some sort of load screen, it will pause, like literally just get stuck. It'll have a spinning disc in the right-hand corner. So you're just wandering around the open world and just it gets stuck. It looks like it freezes. And then this disc spins in the corner, and then you wait till that's done. And it's almost like playing Half-Life, where the load screen comes up every time, except it doesn't say loading. It's just this weird spinning disc where you're like, did I break it?
Yeah.
And the writing, awful. Just so bad. I don't even want to go into what it's about because it's not supposed to be dirty, but it kind of comes across that way. And obviously the voice acting along with it, just terrible, awful. I think they actually did have more voice actors for this game than Oblivion did, though, which I was kind of impressed with.
Well, Oblivion had like 5 or 6 actors total.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, because they gave all their money. They gave all their money to Patrick Stewart, right, for Uriel.
I would do this. I mean, I think I might do the same thing. Give all my money to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make it so.
So is it you said it was open world? Is it like a really large open world, or I mean?
It is actually decent sized. Comparing it to Oblivion, I'd say maybe half of that.
Okay. Wow.
So it's not bad. It's nothing if not ambitious.
That's usually the pitfall of those ambitious games, is they just kind of fall short.
It's ambitious beyond their budget, I think.
Awesome. Well, and also, did you beat that game?
I did, with the use of cheat codes, because the game's so broken.
Yeah, I understand. You know, it used to be when I played the Super Nintendo, which I'm just dating myself. You know, when I played Super Nintendo, when I played the NES back in the day. Yeah. You know, I would play them, for hours upon hours and never beat them, and then I would put in the Game Genie.
Oh yeah.
And I would just, I would school that game. So
I have no shame either. No shame.
That's how I used to beat all of the Mega Man games. Is I would just resort to Game Genie. So
I don't know why, but I had this weird, like, I was watching other people play Mega Man, and I was like, this series looks super cool. As someone that doesn't like Nintendo, doesn't really like platformers, and Victoria has the Mega Man 10-game collection on GameCube, and so I sat down and tried to play that for about 5 minutes, and oh my god, I started with the first game, which apparently is not a great idea. It kicked my butt.
Yeah, it's really hard. Well, I applaud you for at least trying. And so, Victoria, I'm curious to know what your worst game is.
So this is a hard one for me. Only because I don't know which one to talk about first, but we're gonna go with Gears of War Judgment.
Mm.
I talked about this actually in one of the other podcasts that we did of like our favorite games and our worst games, stuff like that, or which one let us down the most. And I love Baird. Like I have a strong gamer crush on Baird in Gears of War. And when I was like, oh cool, Baird and Coltrane in this next Gears, I'm gonna love it. Had it pre-ordered, was super worried because I moved to Napa during that time, and I wanted to make sure everything transferred over. Like, and I got it. And I never beat it. I traded it in. First of all, let me just stress that right there. Because GameStop gives you nothing, and I was okay with that. I traded it in and never beat the game. That's how bad Gears of War Judgment was for me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It was basically campaign was horde mode, and even the campaign itself wasn't, I don't know, didn't seem that fun for me. Just the storyline and stuff like that, Baird being on trial, and I don't know. I never finished it, so somebody could be like, "Oh, you missed the best plot twist ever," but I doubt it. So I don't know. It was the worst for me.
I kind of heard that it felt like an extended DLC, like it was a DLC, like it felt like a DLC for Gears of War 3, like it wasn't anything.
I would disagree with that only because it's the prequel.
Yeah.
So it would be really awkward if this was the DLC for Gears of War 3.
Yeah, I guess like it's just kind of like an add-on, to like another game that was already out there.
It kind of felt like, so we're talking about how Telltale does seasons and stuff like that. Think of the summer in the Walking Dead summer one that they did. I can't remember the full episode.
400 Days.
Thank you, 400 Days. Where it did a bunch of different characters and their side stories and stuff like that. It was kind of like that in the beginning. You would start out with, like, I can't remember who you started out with, but you had the chick, you had Coltrane, you had Baird, and the other dude. And they were just all telling their different stories, different things, and how things happened. And it was horde mode every time because you would be like, all right, rebuild this barrier and stuff like that. And they're going to be coming in from this. And you had a timer that would come up and tell you how long you had till the next thing happened. And I don't know. I felt like it wasn't your typical Gears of War. And I'm honestly even more nervous that at the Microsoft conference we saw the Gears logo at the end. And I know they're still doing stuff. They've announced it. But with how bad Judgment was, I'm really nervous for this series.
So where would you like to see the series go?
Well, since they're bringing it back, I really hope that Delta isn't mentioned really at all. Maybe they mention that there's a guy named Marcus, whatever. But I really don't want Delta in it at all. I'd like to, I don't know. I think I'd like to see more along of what's going on around, kind of like how they did Reach, almost, how it was everything going around what was Chief was doing, kind of a thing in a sense. I would kind of want that, or no, it was ODST, excuse me. But I would kind of want that sort of a feel where we kind of just see everything else going on because there's way more stuff than just them. And plus they're Delta, so I want to know what happened to like Alpha and Bravo and Charlie. And if these guys are this cool, I can only imagine how like BA Alpha was, right?
Or dead.
Yeah, right.
Or dead. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when Grant was on the podcast. There are all of these franchises that really had their trilogies during this last generation, and now they're trying to embark on the next stage. I think of like Uncharted, for example. Like, is there more, to be told to that story? Because when the game feels resolved, when a series feels resolved, it's kind of strange when they're adding more stories to it. So I think a lot of these developers are going to have a difficult time trying to, get fans back into these franchises when they've, really given us so much already and resolved so much already. Do you guys?
That's why I really respect CD Projekt Red, because they're like, this is the end. 3, we're done. Like, we're moving on to our next project, Cyberpunk or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm really, I know that we're all Mass Effect fans here. So like when I hear Mass Effect 4 and they're like, there's not going to be any Shepard, it's going to be connected but just very lightly. I'm like, I like that. I think
You know
that's
what? You know what's awesome though? They could have kept going with Shepard, and I'm such a BioWare fanatic. I would just give them money anyway. So I respect them for being the way that they are, despite the money that they would still earn.
yeah. Just a game where you get to play Shepard running around punching reporters.
That'd be amazing.
All he's saying is, I should go. Like every single time, I should go.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, Shepard, you know you can't dance.
Yeah, man, I'm just thinking of all the ideas that Microsoft could really implement. With Kinect, they could have a Shepard dancing game, Dance Central.
Just Dance, the Shepard edition.
Good Lord, no.
Nathan's like, no, get me out of here. I don't want that.
Like good dancers can't win. It's just only people that can't dance that are good at it.
Hey, I think that's a great market to tap into.
Well, it's just like with Guitar Hero and Rock Band. People who can play the guitar have a really hard time playing those games. I speak as one of them. People who don't know how to play are able to do a lot better.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know, because they have Rocksmith now, and it's like it teaches you to play the guitar, and I'm like, I don't want that. I just want to pretend like I'm the greatest guitar.
Blue, red, green, yeah.
If I want to pretend like I can play Boston. I want to act like that for once. And so, Nathan, what is your worst game when you think about it?
Well, I think I have a couple of them. One of them is although it's not on one of the consoles from last generation, I still would consider it last generation, and that was Zelda Spirit Tracks on DS. Oh. I was actually kind of disappointed with that one because I really liked Phantom Hourglass, even though it was very easy. I just thought that the touch controls worked very well. There was the Temple of the Ocean King that was a little bit of a pain, but it wasn't that much of an issue because the rest of the game was so good. But with Spirit Tracks, I just felt like it was lacking something, and it just felt a lot more restricted on the train tracks, and I don't know, it didn't feel quite as open. And I'm normally I don't have a problem with linear gameplay, but that one just felt really restricted, and the thing that irritated me the most was they tried to do an improvement to controls. Instead of making it you have to do a rolling motion on the edge of the screen in order to have Link roll, you do a double tap. And while that sounds like a good idea in theory, the problem is occasionally if you do a single tap, it registers it as a double tap. And you do single taps to hit something with your sword. So I got all the way to the final boss, and in this boss fight, without really spoiling anything, you have to, at one point, Zelda's charging up, and you have to knock back these fireballs that he shoots, coming from different directions. But there were a number of times that I'd tap once, it would register as a double tap, so I'd roll, which means the fireball would hit Zelda, she'd have to restart her charging thing, and then it would just keep going, and I keep having to redo it until I eventually died. So I never finished that game, and it was very disappointing to me.
This game's on the DS, right?
Yeah, it's on DS.
Why on earth is it using touch controls?
Because that was the main gimmick of the DS, was using the touchscreen. Which, I like I said, I thought overall it worked pretty well, but it still would have been nice at some points to have the traditional controls, and I wouldn't want that in another Zelda game. I think Phantom Hourglass is the only one that really did it well.
Yeah, so it's really tough to mess up a Zelda game.
Yeah.
Especially those overhead view, they kind of try to emulate the Link, all the old Zelda games on the NES and Super Nintendo. Yeah, did you get to play A Link Between Worlds? Did you get to play that?
I haven't, but that's only because I would like to finish A Link to the Past first, which I do have on Super Nintendo. But I played for a bit. I think I got through the first dungeon, and then I got stuck and just haven't gotten back to it.
I I'm hearing that a lot about A Link Between Worlds. Like people get like halfway through the game and then they stop playing it.
Well, no, not A Link Between Worlds. A Link to the Past.
Oh, A
on
Link to
Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I want to play through that one before I play A Link Between Worlds. Because I do really want to play A Link Between Worlds, and I know I'll enjoy it. I got stuck on A Link to the Past, and I haven't gotten back to it yet.
Yeah. Well, you will not be disappointed. It's,
I don't doubt
really good. But I saw Victoria raise her hand.
Oh, I was just waving because I'm one of those people that was like, oh man, this is the best thing ever, and I totally have the Zelda Edition 3DS XL, and just kidding, I'm not going to finish it.
Yeah. I think that I hear a lot of people saying that, like, basically when you get into the alternate world is kind of like when they stop. So.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You're just a part of that crowd.
Statistic.
I'm a statistic, yeah. Another game too that. So I really want to play this on PC, and I love the lore. I really do, but I cannot play Witcher 2 on console. Like, and I'm not saying it's a bad story game or anything like that, because I love it. I absolutely love it. I'll watch Grant play Witcher sometimes too, and I never usually watch him play games. Like, I can't stand Dragon Age. But there are too many menus for the Xbox 360 controller to, I think, like, be able to play Witcher on console. I'll applaud people that can do it, but I can't. Like, I'm ready to just use my computer because I feel like it's going to be way easier with all the keys. But Witcher is just, I think, too difficult and complicated for the Xbox 360 controller to execute it properly. So I would say how a game handles wise, one of the worst ones for me would be Witcher 2 on console.
Interesting.
The one thing I would say.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the one thing I would say though is like, I don't know if you've played the original Witcher on PC, which is very PC kind of controls, very mouse based. But the second one, I tried playing a little bit of that on PC, and I think that the control scheme is really designed for a controller.
What?
And it was just for Witcher 2.
Yeah, no, that's where I played it first though. PC.
Well, I mean, it might just be because I only messed with it a little bit. I got through, like, I think the first area where you're really consistently doing combat, and I just found that it would be a bit easier to do with a controller because
Did you actually pick up a controller and do it?
I didn't try doing it with a controller, no. I'm just saying that it seems like it would have been, because I tried doing it with a mouse and keyboard and it just wasn't working, whereas with the original Witcher, obviously it was.
Did you play those kind of back-to-back?
Well, I haven't even finished the original Witcher. I just decided to try out Witcher 2 for a little bit, but...
So where Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that, I played probably about 6 hours of the original Witcher, and, I mean, the control scheme for that worked perfectly fine on PC.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, where I stopped, so this is where it got complex for me, at least with a controller, was like the first like big boss that you have to do, like that Kraken thing or whatever. That's where I literally threw the controller at Grant, and I was like, "You're gonna have to do this."
She didn't literally throw it.
I wanted to, but I gave it to him, and I was like, "I can't do this." I'm like, "I want to see what happens." That's how much I love this story and the lore. Just everything looks so awesome. I was just like, you're going to have to do this because I want to get past it. And then now that I just haven't picked it up because I feel like I'm just going to continuously get frustrated by it, I'm completely lost. Like, it's one of those games where I don't remember what menu gets to this menu and why I need to do that. And, oh, yeah, I got to meditate for some reason. I don't remember all that. And so I just think that I'm definitely going to try to play it on PC, and I have some time until Witcher comes out, so I'm going to try 1 first, just because I really like the storyline so far of 2, and then go from there. And I don't know, I'll let you guys know if I find it easier on PC or if I find it that I should go back to Xbox.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because I'm not a PC gamer, so I get fascinated by anybody that can play a game on a keyboard. It blows my mind. I've always had the controller in my hand, so I have to applaud anybody that can do that. Yeah. Well, my worst game is now. This isn't like I said. It's not the worst game ever made, but for me, it is Resident Evil 6, and I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, and I fell in love with it on the original PlayStation. I'll never forget the first time I came around the corner and I saw a zombie chewing on a dead guy. It freaked me out, but I had to keep playing, and so I've always been invested in that franchise, and they have these separate storylines that are always going on with separate characters, and I've always wondered, oh, how cool would it be if they all came together in one game, and that's what Resident Evil 6 promised, and I don't like how they did it. Like, they had you play each character's story separately, and they don't really. They eventually kind of interweave with each other, but there will be portions of the game where you're basically doing the same thing that another character was doing. You just, like you're fighting. If you're playing as Chris Redfield, and you're playing as Albert Wesker's son, and another storyline. There's a part where they fight a boss together, and you basically have to do the same boss fight over again if you play as one or the other. So there were just some parts that felt very repetitive, and I felt like after it's funny, we talk about when you resolve a franchise and you try to start something new. That's kind of a pitfall that I think Resident Evil 6 fell into, because Resident Evil 5 felt like they resolved it and they kind of dug all of these characters back up and they put them into another game together, and I feel like this kind of fell flat. Did anybody else get to play Resident Evil 6?
I played a little bit of it. I didn't play much of it because it lost me, honestly. So I understand your pain with that. I do.
So much pain. So much pain. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I equate it to, imagine like if the Avengers was bad. Like, they had all of these different characters that you liked, and they brought them all together and it just didn't work. And that's kind of what Resident Evil 6 felt like for me. It just, it's such a cool idea. You have all of these games, all of this history, and these, characters have never really, some of them have crossed into other games together, but not always. And so this was a game that really promised that, and they let me down on that one. Capcom, why? Why Capcom? I have to know. And so now, and I'm looking back at it, I kind of understand, how Capcom has gotten in the mess that it's gotten in, because I don't know if you guys have heard, but now like they're open for if anybody wants to buy like a majority share in the company, and so it's just it's sad because we talked about Mega Man and people, they've got such a great history of games, and it just it's sad that it kind of started with, I feel like it started with Resident Evil 6 and it just kind of went downhill from there. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with good old Capcom. But
did you ever play Revelations at all? Because I know it was on 3DS and then it got so popular that they brought it to console.
Yeah, I did like I played it on the 3DS and I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I will say that if anybody plays it, to get the add-on for the 3DS to where you can have 2 control sticks, because I've gotten so used to being able to move the screen sideways with the right stick. So I would encourage anybody to play it, but to play it that way. Because
did anyone play it on the consoles or PC here?
I played the demo on the Wii U.
Okay, so how does it look? Because did they just port it? That can't look good.
It's an HD up-res of the 3DS game.
Yeah.
So
Like most HD FPSs, even though the 3DS game already looked really good.
right. So did it look okay on a bigger screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it looked. I mean, it
At
didn't
least in the
look.
demo.
Yeah, you stack it up to other games, and it's not going to look as good. But I mean, I
Okay.
think for what it was, I thought that it was good. But
Okay.
yeah, it's so funny. I read the other day that. Sorry, I keep talking about Resident Evil, but I read the other day that they have like a 4K resolution of Resident Evil 4. I think that's.
Why?
I know. I don't. Yeah. I don't know why they did it, but it's so funny how like a game like that has been like redone so many times because they brought like a HD version of that out on the 360 and PlayStation 3.
Yep.
So,
Are you gonna end up playing Evil Within? Speaking of Resident Evil 4, and
you know what? I probably am, but I have this thing now to where I literally am scared to play these games now.
Wow.
Yeah, like we talked about. Ian Scher was on the podcast last week, and he played the new Alien game, and with the Oculus Rift on, and he was talking about how freaky that was, and yeah, I feel like these games have gotten so good now at being really terrifying. So like I'm going to play it, but I'll be like,
Maybe with the lights on.
oh yeah, with the lights on. Like, I played Outlast. Did you guys get to play Outlast?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. It's good. I mean, it accomplishes what it's supposed to, which is this, to make you crap your pants. But yeah, for me, I'm just like, golly, like I can't keep putting myself out there like that. It just, I don't know.
Is this your way of telling everybody that you crapped your pants? Yeah.
Tune in next week to see if that's what happened.
Same bat time, same bat place.
Oh man. Well, we have a great time talking about the worst games.
I actually want to throw one more out there if I can.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
It's
What's
mostly just to piss off Kenny, and I'm going to say Spec Ops: The Line was a terrible game from last generation. It was clunky. The shooting was the AI was bad. The shooting was not very accurate. Of course, I played it on PC. I mentioned a long time ago it might be just a bad PC port. I will never know because I'll never touch that game again. But I didn't like the narrative, didn't like the character. I didn't like anything about that game.
we just need a GIF right now of Kenny shaking his head in disgust to come up.
I was about to say, are we talking about Spec Ops or are we talking about Kenny?
Yeah,
I
the
didn't know if
narrative
you
was
were-
awful.
I didn't know if you were calling Kenny clunky or if you were calling Spec Ops: The Line clunky.
No, Spec Ops: The Line.
Well, if you're listening, Kenny, you have an open invitation to come back on the podcast and to debate this with Grant.
If you're listening, then what the hell, dude? Why aren't you on the podcast?
That's another good question.
Right.
That would be the topic for next week. Why wasn't Kenny on?
Where's Kenny?
Yeah, where's Kenny? Oh my gosh. So, all right. So we have plenty of games that we don't like and that have disappointed us, and we would love it if you would tweet at Geeks with Wives and let us know what games disappointed you, or what games you consider to be the worst games, because we like to include our community of listeners. And if you're not listening live and you download the podcast and you listen to it, still tweet at us, because I would like to read some of those next week. And I'm sure that there will be a lot of interesting games, and who knows, maybe Kenny will rebuttal Grant's dislike of Spec Ops. So that should be interesting. As always, we end every podcast with our final thoughts. And of course, Nathan, you know plenty about this podcast. You know that you get to go first as the guest tonight. So what is your final thought But, sir.
Okay, well, first off, I want to say, Victoria, a game you should check out on Wii U that you will probably enjoy since you like Lego is Lego City Undercover.
I can't
It is-
wait to play that game. I have wanted that since before we had a Wii U, since before I really even knew about the Wii U. I just saw that game, and I was like, I want to play that game. And then
It
now we have
is-
Wii U, and it stands up.
It's incredibly good. I mean,
Oh, my God.
the only thing that is a complaint is that the loading times when you're going between the map and the open world are
That's okay.
horrendous.
I can wait.
But apart from that, the game is hilarious. It is a lot of fun. There is a ton of collectibles. I mean, it is probably one of the funniest games I've ever played. I think it might even be funnier than Portal 2, and
It's
Portal
amazing.
2 is
That's
hilarious.
amazing.
Wow.
We have to go get this now.
But
I'm
GLaDOS
leaving
is a
right
potato.
So Nathan, did you you like the Lego games, their humor and that stuff?
Well, actually, Lego City Undercover is the only one I played so far, but
You
I
didn't.
loved that one.
I was gonna ask if you had played Lego Island from like early
No.
'90s. No, okay. That's
No,
right.
I hadn't played a single Lego game until Lego City Undercover, just because I'd heard so many good things about it and it looked like a lot
I
of fun.
literally recommend every single one of them except Indiana Jones and Harry Potter.
Yeah. I am planning to get Marvel superheroes at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna
It's really
check
good.
it
Yeah.
I've been really tempted to get it on Steam because of the $5 deal, but
out.
I'm going for the Wii U version because the Wii U version of Lego City Undercover, well, that's the only version there is so excellent.
Right.
But then,
You know-
then the other,
I was going to say, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I feel like Lego has like done better than some of the franchises that I really love. Like for instance, in Star Wars, you can like rip the arms off of a Lego figure. I'm like, man, like oh, that would be great if I would be able if they'd done that in an actual Star Wars movie. So and of course, like I've never had more fun playing as the Hulk than in Lego Marvel. Yeah, it's incredible. So it looks like we all have a lot of Lego homework to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
keep going, Nathan. Sorry.
yeah. Other thing is the Lego Movie. Of course, I mean it's incredibly good.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. I watched it again yesterday because we just got it on Blu-ray, and it's even better the second time. I didn't. There were quite a few things I didn't remember from watching it the first time, and some things I didn't catch, some little subtle things in the background and little lines here and there. But it's really excellent.
I really want to make Batman's song like my ringtone from that movie. It's the best thing ever.
Absolutely. And the last thing is just, there's obviously the Steam Summer Sale going on, and I mean, I've already gotten I think I've gotten 8 different games through the sale, and I've spent like $42.
Awesome.
And I got Far Cry 3, I got Blood Dragon, System Shock 2, Tomb Raider Survival Edition, Wolf Among Us Season Pass, Fallout 3 Game of the Year, Final Fantasy 8, and Final Fantasy 7. Although 8 and 7 I actually bought through Amazon because they have a sale right now, and they were $6 a piece.
Nice.
That's it. I'm joking.
Yeah,
No,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
I was
awesome.
yeah. I mean, 8 was actually my very first game on PC, but I let a friend borrow it years ago and never got it back. And 7, I still have the discs for PC, but I tried to reinstall it, but it was just such a hassle because it was designed for Windows 98, and trying to get it to run on Windows 7 is just such a headache. So I figured, $6, I'll go ahead and just buy the PC version, especially because I know it'll work and all that through Steam. So
As a lifelong console gamer, I have to say I get so jealous when that Steam Summer Sale. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, maybe I am on the wrong side of this whole thing. Maybe I've lived my life completely wrong.
There's no maybe anymore.
agreed.
Dang it. All right. So, but Nathan, I just want to say, definitely thank you for coming on the podcast. We enjoy your tweets. we enjoy interacting with you, and so we're glad that you came back on. And when can we expect to hear more from the Frozen Gamers podcast?
I'm going to say, to be safe, probably at least with all of the regular guys back on, or at least a couple of them, probably not till after summer, but I'll at least try to do a couple with some guests over the next few weeks if I can find some people that are available.
So summer is like 2 days in Alaska, right?
No, summer is
I'm just kidding.
our summer starts usually around May, somewhere around May, and then goes until the end of August, give or take. But
It's normal. Yeah.
It's
this
better than
year,
Oregon.
yeah, I mean this year we actually have a nice normal summer where it's cool out, not getting hot like it was last summer, because last summer it was getting up in the 90s, which
Ooh.
I know for a lot of people that's not that hot. And I grew up in Sacramento, so I know what real heat feels like. But when you've lived in Alaska for over 10 years and you get used to having temperatures in the 60s and 70s during the summer, and then you see 90 for weeks on end and don't have air conditioning, it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hope everything's okay. I hope the igloo doesn't melt during the summer. I hope it all stays together.
Yeah.
No, too soon with the igloo talk.
Too soon, yeah. Just real quick though, I do want to say thank you for having me on. I've really been enjoying listening to the show, and I always appreciate a good, clean gaming podcast. So I'm really glad to have been able to join in.
Awesome. Well, and we'll have to talk about it, but sometime I'd love to come on the Frozen Gamers podcast, because
I think we can do that.
Yeah, I think we can, and I think we will. And so, Grant, what is your final thought for this evening?
So we were talking about the Lego games. Made me think of comedy and gaming. Of course, there's the South Park game, Stick of Truth. But it's not a mainstream thing at all. Like, it's not a normal thing in games to have an abundance of humor in the writing and in the story. And like I was just trying to think today, other than like a Lego game, what have I played that's even got humor in it? Like, other than a joke here or there. Even Grand Theft Auto's not that funny. Saints Row is pretty funny.
Deadpool.
Deadpool's funny, but I didn't really want to play that game. So I don't know. Most of the TV and movies I watch is comedy related, like the Lego movie. Freaking amazing. And I wish that comedy existed more in games. Because I really like story, and comedy is something I identify with quite easily. So I don't know. It feels like there's kind of a void that needs to be more filled than it is now, certainly.
Yeah. And so, what do you think is your funniest game of all time that you've played? Like, when you think of the funniest.
Probably just the Lego games. Even the Saints Row jokes, like, I mean, they're funny, but they're kind of just cheap, dirty laughs, like, fart jokes, stuff like that.
That's my kind of jokes.
Is it? I appreciate the subtlety, and sometimes not, but like the slapstick humor of the Lego games. It's great. I can't wait to play Undercover, Lego City Undercover.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna really enjoy it. It's great. Yeah, I really like how, like for example, like Pixar, how they can take a game that is, or not a game, but like they take a story that appeals to like adults and kids at the same time, but doesn't make either one feel like they're dumb.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like Lego games, they've always been able to accomplish that. I totally agree with you. Yeah. Victoria, what is your final thought for the evening?
So I haven't been on in like forever, like I had said, and I totally missed the E3 podcast to be on anyway. And I'm just gonna say that this is the first year that I ever really paid attention to Nintendo, because I have a Wii U now and I have a 3DS, and so I was really paying attention. And I'm loving both of my consoles. Like with the Wii, I pretty much got it, like felt super cool because it was when like it's really hard to get a Wii, and like Fred Meyers just happened to have one, and so I I got that for Zelda, and then I bought Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, and then I never played another game legally again. I have to say, I think Nintendo won this year, in my opinion. I think it goes Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony. And I already can see Joe shaking his head at me now. But overall, though, I think E3 was kind of weak this year, in general. But yeah, no, that's pretty much, I guess, where my head was at with it. And even though Grant says he hates Nintendo, I have to say I think he's really enjoying the Wii U as a console.
Yeah, but I mean, Lego Hobbit isn't really a Nintendo title.
And he likes Mario Kart. He said Mario Kart. He said Mario Kart is pretty.
It's very beautiful. I never thought that I would ever say that about anything Mario related, but
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive. You know, people don't really think about it, but it is difficult to make high-definition games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've really had to play catch-up pretty quickly. And so it is impressive that they've been able to achieve, you know, the beauty that is in Mario Kart 8 just, you know, within a couple of years.
And I have to say, I feel like I got my Wii U at the right time, because now there's enough of a library where I can go through and play. I have like a substantial amount of games that I want to play, and also the games that are coming out for it. Yoshi's Woolly
Smash
World.
Brothers.
Yoshi's Woolly World reminds me of Yoshi's Island on the N64,
Smash Brothers.
and I'm super excited for it. And then you've got, you know, the open world Zelda, which looks beautiful. You've got Hyrule Warriors coming out. You've got the new Super Smash, which this one's excited for. And the little amiibo characters that they're going to do with it, I'm actually really excited to see where those go through. I think it'd be really interesting if you could have, like, character trees with them, like your character save on there, and, like, say Mario has a, you know, fireball power and other stuff, and, like, you could, like, put skills in each one and build your Mario the way you want to play him, and you can bring him over to your friend's house. So, I don't know. I'm excited to see where Nintendo goes with this, and I think Nintendo won E3.
Wow. Shots fired, Microsoft and Sony. Can you hear that?
Hey, Victoria, quick question. What game did you get free with Mario Kart 8? Which one did you choose?
Oh, we haven't done that yet.
You should do that soon.
It's a couple days away, yeah.
Easy.
Yeah,
you have until the end of July.
Oh, I'm going to do Pikmin 3. That's
Good choice.
what I chose. Yeah.
That's really good. I really enjoyed Pikmin 3. And, of course, it was, you know, the director of that game was Shigeru Miyamoto. So, I mean, how can you go wrong with the legend that is Miyamoto?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and it's so crazy because I feel like maybe I don't hear of a lot of, you know, big franchises, you know, having like a free game attached to it that, you know, and those free games are also like, you know, big franchises as well, like a Zelda, you know, Pikmin 3, Super Mario Brothers U, like, you know, those are popular franchise games, and so just the fact that you can get that for free. That's,
well, you know, desperate times.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. Like they have to entice people.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot pretend like, you know, this is like something Nintendo was like, oh, you know what? Let's do.
We're so wealthy. Let's just give out games.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I do agree with you, Victoria. I think that you know, for me, the ranking is Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, and not to say that Sony didn't do well, because I did like their conference, but yeah, I felt like Nintendo, they really changed a lot of people's minds. So, all right, I guess so. It's to me now, and so my final thought is kind of to follow up what Victoria was talking about with E3. Something that I was frustrated with, and I've become increasingly frustrated with, is how every game is starting to get all of these exclusives. You know, like you have an exclusive for Destiny for Sony, but you know, if you're paying $60 either way, if you own an Xbox One or if you own a PlayStation 4, you're paying $60 for a game, but you're not going to get exclusive content if you own, you know, an Xbox One for Destiny, and you get that, vice versa with Call of Duty. Like you're going to get more exclusive things with, a Call of Duty game on Xbox One than you would on PlayStation. So I've just kind of gotten a little frustrated with it. Have you guys? Do you guys share that, or do you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Batman Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
So screwed up that my favorite villain in the Batman Arkham series, I have to say Scarecrow. Not my favorite Batman villain in general, but the Scarecrow levels in Arkham Asylum were by far my favorite things in the whole world.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that you get Scarecrow missions if you're playing on PS4 pisses me off. Just like the Joker thing with Arkham, it was City, wasn't it? I don't know. I can't remember if it's, I think it was Asylum now that I think about it. But the Judge plays Joker for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that pissed me off too. So I'm really, really butthurt about the Scarecrow missions.
Yeah. I understand why these things happen because, like, for example, like with Destiny, that's a $500 million game. And they've probably poured most of that into, just developing the game. And, they probably come to Sony saying, hey, like, if we could have some help with the advertising, end of this, because that costs a lot of money as well. And, of course, Sony swoops in and says, yeah, like, we'll help advertise the game. And if you've seen PlayStation 4 commercials, it's like Destiny is in every single PlayStation 4 commercial that I've seen, at least, every single ad. And so, I understand the way that the business works, but at the same time, it does suck for the consumer. I feel like we do get the raw end of the deal pretty often.
The Destiny bundle, enough said, with the PS4. So.
Yeah, it does. Although I will say, it makes me wish I had waited like a year to get my PlayStation 4. Because that white PS4, it does look very pretty. But that's beside the point. That's a different final thought for another week. But we, as always, we appreciate when people listen to the podcast and that you tweet us questions. I mentioned that earlier. Definitely ask us questions because we want to make sure that you are included for the show, because that's why we do this show. It's to interact with the community of gamers. And we would love if you ask us questions, or heck, if you want to be a guest on the show, tweet at me, tweet at Gentle Jeffrey, and I will definitely try to work out getting you onto the podcast as a guest, because we definitely want to see that, don't we, guys?
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And just want to go around real quick and have everyone give their Twitter handles. Where can we find you on Twitter? So Grant, go ahead.
At Grant it is.
Yes. Or like I always say, I've got a case of Grantitis, and I do.
Yes, you do.
Bad. Victoria, where is your Twitter handle?
At Nightmare Vixen.
That's such a cool Twitter handle. I do like that. That's cool. Cool name. And Nathan, where can we find you at?
At Frozen Gamers.
Easy enough. Easy enough. And like I said, mine is at Gentle Jeffrey. Definitely not as cool as Nightmare Vixen. Yes. I think if there's an opposite for Nightmare Vixen, it's Gentle Jeffrey. And but you got to stick with it. Well, once again, we thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We hope that you have a good week, and we will see you next Tuesday. Take care. Bye.
Bye.